Have you ever found yourself thinking about how good life used to be as an elementary school kid? The glory days, as some would refer them to, some being me. But these were the days where my biggest concern in life was what seat on the bus I was going to sit on, or whether or not my parents would let me have a friend over for a sleepover that weekend. But without a doubt, the best part of being an elementary school kid for me was the end of the year bouncy castle event. I remember looking forward to this event all year long, jumping on those bouncy castles and never being disappointed with the result. For those of you that know and relate to the experiences I'm talking about, let me ask you a question. You may have enjoyed bouncing on these bouncy castles, but would you ever consider working them as a job? Now, I can't see you guys, but I can feel the hesitation from here. And you're not alone either. Amusement company workers are very often looked down on, strictly because of the job that they do. The job typically doesn't require educational requirements, and therefore people think it's a job for anybody. But despite the bad reputation that these employees get, these amusement companies are actually the backbone of our economy, and they provide their employees with a ton of life and business lessons, such as responsibility and organization. Unfortunately, like many jobs in the service industry today, amusement company workers are constantly harassed at their workplace. An article written by Gabrielle Russin in September of 2019 discussed the horrors that Disneyland employees face. In her article, Russin described the constant screaming endured by the employees in very specific detail, as well as the physical and sexual assault that they face on the job. This is absolutely sickening to learn about, but it ultimately happens because these customers and the employees are not equal. While historically carnivals have been linked to hiring convicts and terrible people, nowadays it's quite the opposite. In 2012, the Chicago Tribune published an interesting article by Craig Schneider, which highlighted the daily lives of carnies. And in the article, a man named Lee Scaff and his wife discussed their battle with drug addictions, but also the fact that they've been clean now for years. So while amusement companies may have the ability to hire convicts, nowadays, they're generally filled with people who are actively trying to better their lives and simply just need a fresh start somewhere. I know this article was written 20 years ago, and so many of you think it's no longer relevant, but a simple Google search of carnival workers are, such as this one made in March of 2021, will show that these stereotypes are still highly relevant today, with the first three results being creepy, dangerous, and criminals. We might put down carnival workers, but they're actually a very big part of our economy. A small business is defined by the Government of Canada as a business containing less than 99 employees. And they also assert that in 2020, 8.4 million individuals were employed by a small business. And that small businesses actually made up 98% of all businesses in Canada at 1.2 million. So while we might think that large corporations like Walmart and Amazon rule the world, here in Canada, small businesses run the show. This includes the vast majority of amusement companies, as they are fairly location specific. You'll likely not see a chain of amusement companies, but rather a different amusement company per city or province, strictly because of the amount of travel associated with the job, and the cost that comes with it as well. Now I know what you're thinking. What costs could I be referring to? Sure, the company bouncy castles cost a decent amount to buy, but they also rent at a pretty high price. And you're right about the price, but the cost that I'm referring to is the safety costs needed to run the company. In Ontario, all bouncy castle companies are required to be certified by TSSA, or the Technical Standards and Safety Authority, before any event can take place. In order to get these certifications, TSSA employees will personally come to events and take extensive notes on all the inflatables from the company. Additionally, safety checklists are done for each individual inflatable at the start of every event in order to ensure it meets standards set of operation. And to some, this might sound redundant, as it's just bouncy castles we're dealing with here, but it's not an exaggeration to say that these precautions could be life-saving, and the responsibility put on the workers is astronomical. Think back to 2014, better times sure before COVID, but also the year HuffPost released the article titled Bouncy Castle Flies Away, with this picture on the cover. Author Andy Campbell enlightens the readers on a horrific day in which a bouncy castle flew over 20 feet in the air, with 3 kids inside all under the age of 10. This event wasn't fatal for any of the kids, but it did leave one in a medically induced coma after one fell out of the bouncy castle onto a car more than 20 feet away from where it took off from, and another landed onto a ground of asphalt. There are rules set up in place for events like this to prevent these incidents, such as how the TSSA requires all inflatables be taken down when winds reach above 15 kilometers an hour, as well as having inflatables staked to the ground at all times during events. And these rules are constantly followed by the amusement company workers, even through all the belittling of the customers. So while working at a bouncy castle company may not be the most glorious job in the world, the importance of the job can teach accountability and responsibility to all who choose to pursue it. It is not an overreaction to say that they are responsible for the lives of those on the inflatables. And while these jobs used to be taken by creeps and criminals, nowadays it's simply people who are trying to make something of themselves. We have seen so much progression in terms of the stigmatizations of others for their actions, with the ability to return to school to pursue new careers at any point in life being completely normalized. Well, I think it's time to normalize changing a career path in a new way, and that's through amusement companies. Because you never know, the next Elon Musk could very well be unrolling a 20-foot inflatable obstacle course as we speak. Thank you.